Let's talk
relationships on
UMERADIO. So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
And love, emotions, sex.
it's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
And DJ KTE.
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UMERADIO.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on Yumi Radio on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UMERADIO app to listen wherever you are. That is UMERADIO, one word. Hey, hello everybody. Good night, good night, good night again. Good to be back again on UMERADIO with Let's Talk Relationships. and we have been having a good time over the last few months and weeks. Lady Misty, are you there? My amazing co-host. We are really happy to be here tonight, and we have a very interesting
I
topic.
am. Good night. Good
There
night.
you
Good night.
go.
Good
There you
night. Good
go, Lady
night.
Misty. All right, all right, all right. So how we doing today? How was your day?
It was busy, but it was good.
Was it as crazy as mine?
I'm not sure, but it was a typical Monday. A
Listen, I had a
typical
very,
Monday.
I would say, very, very, very crazy, busy, scheduled day, as they would say.
Yeah.
Really, really, really crazy. But thank God I made it through.
Thank
And
God.
here we are again, another night to, I guess, share as we always do,
Yes,
and
sir.
looking to have a good time. Yes. So take us in
All
now, Lady
right.
Misty.
So, welcome to those who are joining us tonight. Welcome to another episode. We are going to be discussing a very interesting topic.
That's the word. Hmm.
Non-monogamous relationships. It's a controversial topic, I know, and it comes with a lot of pre-existing ideas and expectations. So tonight we're going to have people who are living the life and share with us their experiences. Now, just a disclaimer, please, throw all the religiousness through the door. We're just talking relationships tonight, all right? So this is a non-judgmental space, and we are just intrigued by the different relationships that are in the world, and we're going to be discussing one tonight. We want to say a big thank you to all our partners, supporters, listeners, and viewers. This year, we want to be a support system for you. We learned a lot last year, and this year we will be having conversations that will be of help to you. So please join us in the comment section if you need advice or answers to any questions to help you grow in your relationship. Leave it in the comment section or email us at ltranswers@gmail.com. That's ltranswers@gmail.com. It is our hope that this program will be a support to you to help you have a strong, healthy, amazing relationship. Cheers to love and happiness. Of course,
Hey. Well,
welcome to Let's Talk Relationships. I am Lady
yes.
Misty.
And I'm DJ KTE.
Yes,
And it's January the 25th, 2021. And the time is now 9:05. So
9:05.
I'll say this real quick before we go ahead in this topic, because I said it's a very
Mhm,
touchy topic for many. But I remember some years ago, my
mhm,
my daughter came home to me and said, "Daddy, I have my friend in school has two moms." And I said, "Wow, I didn't expect to hear that in my time." However, I did. So
Yes.
sometimes we as adults, we feel that we have lived already and we've seen enough and seen everything. But there's a
Right.
world out there that our kids from church and our own kids are seeing and probably experiencing and probably will
Mhm,
experience. So sometimes going ahead of these conversations might be helpful to us to know what's going on in our world and how we can relate and not be shocked and be overwhelmed with new ideas. So, Lady Misty,
All right. So we want to say a big shout out to those who are joining us tonight. We are live on YouTube right now, and we
uh-huh.
want to say hello to everyone that is watching. So I'm gonna jump over there pretty soon to shout out
Yeah,
all the
YouTube,
persons over there.
they're in the house, man.
Yes.
They show up big every time, right? They just show up big every week.
When
They
you
show up real
join
big.
us, they do. I tell you, they do. When you join us, please tell us where you're joining us from. And this year, we want to make sure that we are connecting. So please leave us a comment or a question or just a shout out.
Yeah.
We can also be heard on the following apps. So if you have this app, you can hear us. So it's the Apple Store, Google Play Store, iTunes Podcast, iHeartRadio, TuneU, Google Podcast, Podbean, TuneU, Live 365, Spotify, and Stitcher. So if you have any of those apps, you're going to hear me, you're going to hear DJ KCE. All right. So I am jumping over to YouTube right away. Let me see if there's anyone over there yet in the room. I'm sure they are over there waiting for us.
Pretty sure.
Yes, I see my pastor on. I'm gonna have to behave myself tonight. Oh my gosh.
I'm not like Podbean, right? We got some Podbean as well.
Yeah, yes, and we have some on Podbean. My pastor is over there on YouTube. So I have to behave myself tonight, right? So I want to say a big shout out to Reverend Hubert Wynn. No wine. No, listen, I have water. Okay, water.
There we go.
Yeah, I came very sober tonight. Thank God.
There we go.
Yes. So for all those who are on YouTube, don't forget, of course, to drop a line and tell us where you're from, and we will, of course, shout you out. All right. So tonight's topic is non-monogamous relationships. All right. And given the difficulties of maintaining a relationship with one person, what does it look like dating multiple people?
Yeah. Interesting question.
Yeah. Good night, Finding Happy. I see you. I see you as well on YouTube. Good night. So let's see what the topic is all about, and let's see what others have to say about the topic. So according to Psychology Today, polyamory, and that's what we're talking about tonight, pronounced polyamory, right? So it's a practice of having multiple intimate relationships, whether sexual or just romantic, with the full knowledge and consent of the parties involved. Polyamory is generally not gender specific. Anyone can have multiple partners of any gender. So, my folks out there, if you've never heard about this before, tonight we're talking about polyamory. Could you do this? Could you not do this? Let's see. So it says at least 1 in 5 Americans has had a consensual non-monogamous relationship at some point in their lives. And about 1 in 20, yeah, and about 1 in 20 is in one right now. Yeah. A growing body of research shows that partners in such relationships find their bonds to be just as satisfying and fulfilling as those of married people, and derive just as much happiness from them. All right. Now, when most of us think of having multiple spouses, it's usually the idea of one man with multiple wives, right? Just like in a polygamy, right? So one man having multiple wives. That's what we think about.
Which is practiced on different parts of the world today.
Yes, and it is natural in many countries and so on. In the Western world, that's a little bit. No, that's a little bit iffy.
Common.
No. All right. So that's like in polygyny, right? One man, many wives. All right. There are 3. Let's see now. Let me go back to my information here. All right. So I say throughout the 3 major faiths, there are multiple religious groups that practice polygyny. All right. The most famous in the United States is Mormonism. And we know a little bit about Mormonism, and that's one of the practices that they have. All right. For Mormons, most Mormons don't practice it anymore. All right. But there are fundamental Mormons that do. And please excuse my dogs if you're hearing them. All right. Polyandry, that is when a woman has more than one husbands. All right. And this is more uncommon. So this is not so popular as polygyny, but it still exists. And this is still practiced in parts of Tibet, Bhutan, and Nepal. So let's see. can we really get down in this conversation? It's going to be a heavy conversation
I can
tonight.
feel
I'm
that. I can feel
feeling it
that.
already.
I can feel that weight coming. Oh Lord. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
All
It's
right,
a
let me
heavy one
go and
tonight.
shout out those over there. Ah, I see Travel Escapades. Good night.
Oh, he's back, huh?
Yeah, yes,
Hey.
back with us tonight. I am happy that you're here this week again to keep our company. Yes, so tonight we're talking about, for those who are just joining us, polyamory. And we are discussing the life of a polyamorist or polyamorists, and how they go about in their relations. Now, most of us, we are used to monogamous relationship, one man, one woman, one spouse,
Mhm.
and we're fine with that. And in religious scenes, that's okay. That's what should happen. One wife, one under God, one husband.
One
But
wife.
in persons have different views, and they have seen where polyamory works out for them, and they're just as happy, and they're living their lives. So we are
As
going
they
to
say,
explore
right?
it tonight.
As they say. Sometimes it's hard to quantify what it looks like. But I
Yeah.
guess one's truth is one's truth. And in some cases, I mean, we see in the Bible where in the olden days where you had kings who had many wives. You think about them, someone like David, who had many
Yes,
wives
or
and
Solomon.
concubines, and Solomon. And
Yes.
somehow we saw where that came. We talk about those being the old time, the Old Testament, and then we talk about the New Testament where we have now. It is said that one man should have his own wife and let every wife have her own husband. And
Yes.
so we embrace that. A lot of us as Christians, we embrace those beliefs, and
Yeah.
we believe it. Sad thing is that so many times you have people within that realm of a belief or
Mm-hmm.
religiosity, as they would say. They have a wife, but their mind is on many other wives or many other women.
I
and
see.
and so you have people also who live that life of marriage to the public, but underneath they're having secret relationships and secret lovers and stuff. And so that's also not a good thing. But at the end of the day, um, who can you appreciate someone who's honest about the way they feel? What do you feel is
Yes.
wrong or right? Can we be honest about how they can be open and say, listen, this way I am. There's no mystery about what
Mm-hmm.
they do. There's no hidden truths, who they are. And can we appreciate that aspect of it, regardless
And
of how we feel?
and there's a question I know, in our discussions, behind the scenes before coming on the show and so on. Can you love more than one person? Is
Mm.
that a thing? Is that a thing? Because I'm sure you're gonna need to have feelings for these people. I've never been in a polyamorous relationship, but I'm guessing if it's romantic or if it's sexual in nature, there are some feelings that can be involved. So for those who are hearing me and listening, can you love two persons at the same time, or more than two persons at the same time, equally, and share that same kind of intimate space and feel okay? What do you think?
Mm. I tell you, I
So
think
I
it's
want my listeners to drop their lines on the YouTube channel. I want to hear from you. I
yeah.
see Travel Escapade saying that, and I'm sure he's referring to monogamy. It's changing rapidly, and it isn't very popular anymore. Uh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
So he's saying
So
what's changing? He's saying it's changing
he's saying,
from.
yeah, monogamy. That one that's sticking to one person
Mhm.
is kind of changing based
Oh,
on
okay,
how the
yes.
world is now. It's not
Accepting
so
of.
popular.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
more
it's
accepting
right,
of
right. Of
being
other kinds of
open.
relationships.
And it's funny
Yes,
because a lot of us or stars, Hollywood stars, they have this called open relationship kind of thing going on. A
yes,
lot of them have,
yes.
so it kind of starts there where it permeates through the culture, because when something becomes popular, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what it is, it tends to just seep through the culture, and a lot more people embrace it. I can't say it's a good thing. I can't say a person to myself, but I can say that it's a reality. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, that you know I come from a very, I would say, sheltered life. a small community
Mm-hmm.
in the country. So I wasn't exposed to the internet or even television. You know, I wasn't exposed to a
Right.
lot of things that I discovered when I came to America. And
Mm-hmm.
what makes it even more interesting, I was shocked to see what my kids were now being exposed to.
I got
Right.
you.
So
Yes.
that's why I kind of made the statement earlier that we sometimes lose a sight of how we are surrounded by these information and these things that goes on underneath
Yes.
underneath our eyes, and we have to pay attention to these things,
True.
yeah.
I want to know, is it better to be in an open relationship? And I'm asking this as, in context of the conversation, right? Not the views expressed are not my personal views. All right. I'm just asking this in the context of the show, but is it better to be in an open relationship knowing that we've had this discussion and I'm free to go there, you're free to go there, rather than me, being on the deal and sneaking around? Uh,
Mm,
which is worse? Which is better? Uh,
yeah. And then why do you have so much divorce within the context of marriage, one man to one woman and vice versa, and that's supposed to be the correct way, right? Based on many beliefs.
mhm.
Why do you have such a high divorce rate? And then why do you have so much infidelity that takes place within the marriage when that's supposed to be the
which
ideal
which goes
thing?
back to my question: can you love two persons at once?
Misty, think about it, right? Think about this. If you have, say, I think the issue that we sometimes faces is our own beliefs, and sometimes we fight
Okay,
against our
well,
own beliefs. So when that's in place, if I believe that I'm not supposed to eat frog, for instance, right, or even cockroaches, which in some countries is a delicacy, snails, right? So
ugh, I
where
hear
we are
about it. I'm
from,
like,
right? So where we from, we eat some stuff. We eat like goat, right? Goat meat. Now some countries, no, 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 no. That's a big no. We eat cows, right? Drink their milk. In some
yes.
countries, we cows. No, you don't
You're
even
going
you
to
don't even
hell
touch
if
that
you
thing.
do
You
that. You're
see?
going to hell.
So the same I think applies for our belief system. So we can look at what we believe and say, boy, based on what I believe, that is detestable. There's no way that's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
So you see how that works? So I guess that's where we have those the nuances that kind of makes it complex, in a way.
Let me jump over to YouTube to see what the persons are saying here tonight. So I see QJ Flex, good night. I see you. I see you, Shanique Marshall, good night. All right. So the pastor in the house. Yes, so Rev is saying, well, times are changing and these things are really happening. Sad but true. Finding happy says a healthy, happy, safe, and by choice relationship is what everyone deserves.
Mm,
People being free to be themselves, loved, healthy, and safe. That is what is important. And then she continues to say, what is safer is better.
mm,
When people get to choose as opposed to being thrown upon you, and you
mm-hmm.
don't even know. Travel Escapade saying, can you love two persons? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe love, but not in love. So
Okay. I mean, I
let's
can see
see.
that.
I am I I'm excited to hear from our guests tonight and
Yeah,
hear their views on it.
yeah.
They are more intimate in knowing how polyamory works, and so they should shed some light on it. My personal view is that I don't know if I could do that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But as we've been discussing, DJ, the world is evolving and there are so many things happening,
Yeah,
and it's good. It's good to shed some light on some of the things that are happening in the world because, as you said, we grew up sheltered. You
yeah.
know,
As young
Yeah.
as I look, I'm old. And we weren't exposed to a lot of things, which I think is good,
Yes.
that we weren't exposed to a lot of things. But now, uh, the world is different and things are at your fingertips. And so it's good to know. And know
Mhm.
knowledge is power, and knowing is always a good thing. Now, knowing so that you can, in essence, make your own choice. So let's see what that will be about.
Yeah. And the heartbeat of the show, for those who don't know, that the heartbeat is love. Because
Yes.
I think sometimes when we try to connect with the world or others, we connect to the eyes of maybe a religious concept, or to the eyes of sex or race, or to the eyes of just our own way of life. But I think the key to touch mankind, and I believe that Christ, he demonstrated that kind of thing when he showed love. Where they went to Zacchaeus' house and said, "Hey, I know that you've been robbing these people with taxes," and he ate at his house and transformed his life. Or whether he spoke with the Samaritan woman, or the Jews thought that no way, you can't talk to these people. They're less than
Mhm.
us, and Christ talked to her and changed her life. Or whether he went and delivered someone who was demon possessed,
Yes.
and they thought that's crazy. Or he dealt with women a certain way, and at the time they were seen as property or less than. So
Mhm.
it's about love is the root of everything. So I know it's a very hard thing for many of us to grapple with when something is so different or seems so off the beaten path, so to speak. But I think that
Yes.
it's love is the if that's the driving force of what we do, then we give room for the God of the universe that we serve and love. We give him a chance to work within the midst and create or recreate to his
Yes.
desire. So we don't do the work. We just plant the seeds, right? The sower plant the seeds, and then it grows wherever it needs to grow.
All right. All
Yeah.
right, great. We are moving right into our Yumi Radio Spotlight, but before DJ KTE does that, I want to read this comment from QJ Flex that says, I believe you can truly love one person, but you can love different attributes of many persons. I really
Okay.
don't think one man will love 5 to 10 women, um, dedicating his all to all of them. So
Mm.
that's an interesting
So
point.
in other words, some will lack in some ways.
Yeah, so may lack in some ways. Well, we are about to amplify the voice of positive influencers. So we want to shed some light on our Yumi Radio Spotlight tonight. Go ahead, DJ.
Well, tonight I must let you know that we have folks in our community that are making a difference. And at this point, we just want to show some support for Lauren Carter. And I tell you, she's running for boy, she's running for city council from in Mount Vernon here in New York, and she's running as a Democrat from Mount Vernon, and we are
All
proud
right, DJ,
of.
she's not here as yet.
Hmm,
She's
she's
not
not
with us
here.
as no, she's not here as yet. But I want you to tell us about My Coach Ministry and how that impact you. I know it's a wonderful program. I know that you made some decisions in 2019,
Hmm.
and I want to tell us about that.
Oh, sure, definitely. Well, as we wait for Lauren Carter, I can definitely share with you some of my experience here. And for those of you who don't know, My Coach Ministries, it's a powerful ministry. And when you think of ministry, it's not just about a Bible and a rostrum and a church, as I thought before, right?
Yes,
It's not that, but it really is a way of ministering to someone in different levels, different means. But in this case, I did a course, and of course, I mean, it was really great for my own self discovery. Very tough,
yes.
because a lot of times we if we want to grow
Mm-hmm.
in whatever area, we got to see where we are. Right? We got to find out where we are, and it's a very intense course, but fun, And anything that brings out the best in you will often come with a challenge. It will come with you facing who
Yes,
you
that's
are,
true.
coming to your own truth,
Mm-hmm.
recognizing who you are. and sometimes even deal with some of your traumas, because we all have had traumas in our lives. And when we deal with those traumas, we can definitely be on our way for success. So my experience with this is that it's worth having. We talk about counselors and psychologists, and those are great in terms of what they can do and the work that they do. So if
Yes.
you think about someone like a counselor or maybe a psychologist, they help to soothe you and kind of help you to cope with what you're dealing with, which is a good thing. But a
Mm-hmm.
coach is more like, get up, let's do this. Yeah, you can do it. And when you say no, they're saying yes, and they're pushing you to the next level. And it's very intense. But the end of it is extremely rewarding. You will feel like you've just made steps and leaps and bounds. And that's what happened to me. And out of this came a program called the Success Plan, which I
Ah.
developed, and it's a 12-month program, which I really opened the doors for newbies who are new at wanting to brand themselves, discover what they are, their
Mm-hmm.
gifts, their talents, what they're passionate about,
Yes.
and start from that point. And by 12 months, they have a fully thriving registered business, be it whether
Awesome.
from a cookie to a who knows, right? So yes,
That's
so that's
good.
that's a good thing. And it also deals with people who are advanced or working and want to start their own business, or people who are like
Mhm.
who are advanced as well. So it's just a blessing. So I would encourage anyone to check out Coach
My
um
coach
My Coach
ministry.
Ministry. It's
That's right.
great,
So,
great,
guys,
great.
you heard it. So, if you want to achieve a transformative success, then hire a coach.
Yeah.
If you don't know where to start in finding one, well, you go over to mycoachministry.com. They have it. They have it there. They're on a mission to help
Yes.
1 million individuals transform their lives through
Mhm.
discovery of purpose, strategic planning, and brand positioning. So check them out at
Yeah.
mycoachministry.com. I promise you, promise you, promise you, promise you, you will not regret it. All right, so that was our Yumi Radio Spotlight tonight. Once again, for those who are just joining us, we are talking about polyamory tonight, and we want to say a big shout out to our guests tonight, Jerry and Joe. They are polyamorists, and they are going to be talking to us and sharing with us about their lives in just a few moments. For those of you over there on YouTube, we want to say thank you on Podbeam as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We are so glad that you are here keeping our company tonight.
Yes. And also Yumi Radio as well.
And Yumi Radio. Oh my God,
Yeah.
how can I forget my Yumi
Yumi
Radio family?
Radio.
Please forgive me, guys, over there listening. Please don't beat me up. All right.
Uh-huh.
We are so happy that you are here with us tonight. Now, can you give yourself freely to more than one person? Can you?
Hmm.
Will you? Should you? I want my listeners to answer that question before we go to our guests. So, can you give yourself freely? Let me hear what they have to say. In the meantime, we are going to shed some more light. Yeah, it's all about brightening up our show tonight. So we have our influencers spotlight tonight. So we're amplifying the voice of positive influencers. And
Yes.
DJ KTE was talking about it before. We are showing support for Lauren Carter, Democrat for Mount Vernon City Council. We are
Yes.
so very proud of her, right?
Yes,
And
we
we
are.
are proud of all people of color who are choosing to step out of their comfort zones for leadership.
That's right.
Lauren is passionate about serving the city of Mount Vernon, and we support this cause. The issues she will be tackling include quality of life. Let me see. Let me go back to, yeah. Let me make sure I have everything correct. I don't want to get it wrong.
Yes.
So she is tackling quality of life, physical responsibility, comprehensive planning, public safety reform, and commitment to community.
Yes.
She is a former deputy city clerk. So clearly, guys, she has experience. All right. She know what she doing. She got this. All right.
Yes.
And she has experience to move the city in the right direction. So we only have her for 5 minutes. So she is going to tell us about the road to city council. So
Welcome.
good night, Lauren. How
Welcome,
are
Lauren.
you
Hi,
doing?
I am well. How are you, Lady Misty? Hi, Keith.
I
How
am
are you?
well. I am well. You're looking lovely. Good night. Good
Thank
night. And congratulations on your running for city council. It
you
is a huge venture, and we are saying here we support you. All
Yes.
right.
so
So
much.
we only have one question, just
Only
one,
one. Only one.
only one. All
Okay.
right. So, what have you been doing to demonstrate your readiness for the role of city council and a leader for the people of color to get behind you and support you?
Well, I've been on the ground. That's how I'm demonstrating that I'm a leader and I'm ready to begin on day one as a council person. I've been speaking to residents, business owners, just the stakeholders
Yes.
here at Mount Vernon, just listening to them, and even at this point, trying to help resolve some issues that they have. So I think
Hmm.
that's how I'm proving that I'm ready for the job.
And just like that, listen, guys, she is ready, ready, ready. So ready, 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 ready. She
Yeah.
has been on the ground. She has been talking to business owners. She has been making herself known in the community, and that's always a good thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes. She's
So
very
we,
people focused, and that's the beautiful thing about Lauren Carter, that she really gets out there among the people and let it be known that she's there for them, and that's why we're going to see her have good success in Mount Vernon.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with your help, I know that it will happen.
yes, it will. It will. Congratulations one more time. And for those who want to learn more about her, you can check out our IG at Lauren for City Council or laurenforcitycouncil.com. Did I get it right? I got it right?
Correct, perfect. Yeah,
Yes, good. I got it right.
yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for spending the short time with us, Lauren. And we wish you all the best on your venture. And we wish you the very, very, very successful campaign. And we hope you come out victorious. All
Thank
right.
you, thank
We
you.
are behind Black people all the time and people of color. So, congratulations one more time and all the best.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Are welcomed.
Thank
Yes.
you. Night.
You are welcomed.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. Great, 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 great. All right. So we want to begin our conversation. I'm seeing, let me see if my producer says our guests are here. All right. Let me tell you a little bit about them before we ask them to come on. So we have a couple tonight. Yes, we do. So we have Jerry Lynn and Joe Brigante. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He will correct me if I'm wrong. So this is Jerry Lynn, also known as Cleodna Kali Safari. Safar. Okay, she's a president of Open Love New York, mystical mistress of motivation, and chief muse at Space Force. She's co-founder of Deconstructing Polyamory and a master of social work and she has a master of science in disaster resilience leadership students in Tulane at Tulane University. That was a mouthful. I hope I got it correct. Her fiance, Mr. Joe Brigante, is a software engineer, a Jersey City Fashion Week modal captain, and actor and stage combatant. So we have very experienced people tonight who will be talking to us about polyamory. And I'm not sure if they're both here. I know that Jerry is here.
And
Hello,
Joseph
hello.
is here as
Yes,
well.
we are with you.
Oh, okay, great. Good night. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Good night.
Thank
Welcome.
you. And welcome to Let's Talk Relationships.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight.
All
Great.
right. Great, great, great. So we are talking tonight about polyamory, and thank you so much for coming on and for sharing with us tonight. We deem it a pleasure. All right. So for those who are listening, like myself, what is really polyamory? What is it all about?
So, polyamory is really, for some folks, it is an orientation.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, this is truly something that I believe that I was born with, that is inherent in my nature. For
Okay.
other folks, it is a lifestyle, but it is really the freedom to choose a relationship and to design a relationship that is authentic, with honesty and transparency and the consent of all parties involved.
Okay. So were you always a polyamorist? Always, always, always?
No, no, not always. Not always, always, always. I came out of the polyamory closet, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my late 20s, but when I investigated the patterns of my relationships, all the way back to my formative years of exploring romance, I realized that there were a lot of situations that would have been considered polyamorous in nature. I
Okay.
just simply didn't have the words or the knowledge at that point.
Okay. So, okay, so break it down for us. How does it work? How does polyamory work? Is it that, okay, I'm in a relationship and I can go be with somebody else
Uh,
and it's okay? Or there's a conversation that is had, or are there any rules? What's the relationship like?
yeah. So with polyamory, what I would say is like there are no hard and fast rules. There are some generally agreed upon principles. I mean, certainly, partners should absolutely need to be aware of one another. Otherwise, you're just sneaking around. But otherwise, there are lots of different ways to be polyamorous. There are bleh. I'm sorry, I'm like, as much as I'm an actor, I can get a little nervous sometimes.
Understandable.
So I'm actually relatively new to polyamory, at least certainly relative to Jerry. Um, but yeah, you can have. So there are individuals who are in a style that is called solo poly. So they
Mm-hmm.
consider their primary partner as themselves, and
Okay.
otherwise they have lots of other partners. And Jerry, please interrupt me, correct me whenever necessary.
Well,
Uh,
there's a ton of different terminology, and there are as many different ways to design the relationships as there
Okay.
are people who practice them, and it is all about boundaries and communication and a little bit more communication. We probably spend more time talking than we do anything else. And people shift in and out, and it's a sort of a flexible and amorphous thing for a lot of us as our life circumstances change or as people
Mm-hmm.
enter and exit our lives.
So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is DJ KDE here, and the question is: was any of you married before? And if you were, how do you look at that lifestyle, being married and having that relationship now to having this relationship? What's the main differences, nuances that you discover, better or worse in both sides,
uh,
or
with
pros and cons in both sides?
I'm going to pass that over to Joe because my first marriage was actually polyamorous, and the reasons that we are no longer together had nothing to do with the relationship style or structure.
Okay.
As for myself, I also was formerly married, but that was a traditional monogamous relationship. Um, hmm. what level to share here? Yeah, I will say, I do think we both very much tried to make it work. Very much tried to. I feel that I did my very best to be the best me in that relationship, but we ultimately did grow apart. But I know one thing that was the one thing that was always that was dissatisfying to me was certainly the amount of sex. This is not an uncommon thing in relationships. I was married for 7 years.
Yes.
So we know that passions cool over time. But I had friends that were polyamorous, and that was something that I wanted to, well, still are. That was something that I started to do a lot of research on and try to get a sense of. And that was out of that marriage after a cool off period. That was something where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to throw myself at this, because the big thing, one of the big talking points for, or big selling points for polyamory, so to speak, is in a monogamous relationship, you are asking one person to be everything for you, to satisfy every need. And I get it. You can have friends that satisfy different needs as well, but it really does put a lot of pressure on the other person, and a lot of pressure on you to be that for the other person. And that was sort of the big takeaway for me from that marriage, of wanting not to lock into it. And I mean, a big part of it is thinking about, like, oh well, why am I monogamous? Why was I proceeding this way? And it, because that's just because that's the way it's done, because that's what the culture supports. But I don't know of a particularly good rational reason that it can't be otherwise. And I know for me, an important component is being above board, being honest and truthful. But if you can seek and find someone who is on that same page and who's about that as well, then there's I don't see what the problem would be. So moving forward with that, and making the most of it right now. Yeah. Bleh.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
so I heard you talk about being in a relationship, well, a marriage for 7 years, correct?
Yes.
All right. And I heard you highlight one of the things being the sex. So with polyamory, you are free to have sex with other people, correct?
So I mean, free to have sex with other people. I mean, it, not to play semantics here. It depends on what you mean. Certainly, actually, certainly.
Is it a case where you just like meet somebody and you like them and you decide you want to have sex with them, or is it a case where a relationship develops and this person like meets Jerry and there's a discussion, or you're free to do whatever you want,
Some kind of process. Yeah.
Yeah, in this case, certainly I'm not going to just decide to have sex with someone I
right.
met. In this case, there's several reasons. One is beginning a relationship with someone, like that relationship impacts your other relationships, and then especially anything to do with sex, like that impacts your decisions about your own sexual health, impact the sexual health of those who you are with. So
Right.
there's certainly a discussion, like and that would be, and yeah, I would not until they met Jerry and other partners. Right now I am Right now, due to pandemic and other circumstances,
Okay,
Mhm.
pandemic.
I am a free agent, so to
Indeed.
Blame it
speak,
on blame it on COVID. Blame it on COVID.
Yes,
and
that-
I will.
yeah, no, that has definitely put a different spin on the way that polyamorous people interact and the way that they have to make health assessments.
Yes,
But
yes.
I think the really important thing to note is that ethical non-monogamy is sort of a huge umbrella,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of
Okay.
things that fall under it. There's swinging, there's polyamory. I mean,
Right, because I was just about to ask if it's different from swinging, because uh swinging, based on my understanding, and you can enlighten me, it's married people with other married people, right? Like we are
um,
Or
sharing,
couples.
or couples.
it
So
in my
we're sharing couples.
in my experience, it tends to be couple centric, but that doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that it is.
Okay.
Okay.
My understanding is that swinging is more based on sexual encounters, whereas polyamory is more rooted in connections and relationships, however the people in those relationships define them.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there are certainly people for whom sex is sort of a leading factor in that, but again,
Mhm.
it varies widely. It is a very diverse group of people with different religions, different values, different stages of their lives, different logistical situations. So it's a
Understood.
difficult thing to sort of quantify outside of our own experience, because it is quite vast in its scope.
Okay.
So when you say, which is very interesting, you said it's very it's a mixed audience, and I know a lot of times you have where you have these conventions, or you may have certain meeting place where they meet up. I'll probably say pre-COVID more so than now. So do you find that a lot of blacks are involved in that lifestyle? I'm sure it's relatively new to a lot of our listeners, but do you find a lot of blacks, or maybe church people of religious background, that are underneath that surface, or part of that lifestyle in your experience?
It's definitely a geographical situation.
Hmm.
I've been very
Okay.
lucky. I base out of New York City, although we live a little north now.
Yes.
And I find that scene to be quite diverse. There is an amazing group based out of Philly, Black and Poly. They
Mhm.
have chapters all over the country that is specifically catering and providing safe space for individuals of color.
Mhm.
And I actually also do a lot of work with Zach Budd out of Houston. That's the Space Force, which is um, advocates and counselors and sex educators, basically making or attempting to make spaces safer for
Okay.
marginalized people. But it definitely depends on where you live. I have a co-educator that I work with quite a bit. He lives in Oklahoma City, and diversity there is a challenge.
Okay.
It is really quite a challenge, but and this is not a bias thing, but I do have a very, very, very dear person in my life who wrote an amazing book on this. It's
Mm.
called Love Is Not Colorblind. The author is Kevin Patterson.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
to be honest, I would encourage anyone who wants to dive deeper into that to read that book, because he is certainly much more qualified as a
Okay.
man of color to speak on that than I.
So,
I
so, so,
understand.
so I do have another question that's really pressing me here. So be it married relationship, or male female, or polygamy, or polyamory. I can't say the word. I'm messing it up, but I'm so sorry.
It's all
Uh,
good.
but I know they all have their challenges. You know, I was married, and I've had some serious challenges. You have the bumps, you have the ups and downs, you have the moments of wanting to quit, and moments when you have high moments. So, what are some of the moments you said, "Boy, man, this life is it's a bit much"? You've had those moments where it's like it gets very intense, or very emotional, or very uh, disliking. What are those times are like, if when you have those moments, or if you have those moments at all?
Sorry, we're looking at each other, deciding who to go first.
Anyone can go first. It's fine. It's fine with me. Anyone goes first.
So I've been really blessed to have been around this for a long time, and because I do have the privilege of speaking at national conferences, I have a really particularly amazing community of folks
Okay.
that form a support system for me.
Mhm.
And I think that for a lot of people who operate sort of out of the mainstream, having a support
Right.
system that understands
Mhm.
is really, really essential. And I'm extraordinarily fortunate to have that. But I guess the other thing I would say is that it's a very cliche thing that we talk about. Love is infinite, but time and money are not.
Mm,
You know,
I
so
got
you
you.
can love many, many people, and a lot of us feel that we are able to, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the 24 hours of the day extend into being able to facilitate those relationships as fully as we may wish.
Mm.
Okay. I want to ask a question
Oh, if you don't
to
mind,
Joe.
if you don't mind, Lady Misty, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
could I hear Mr. Joe's perspective on this as well before you at this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
I got to tell you, I know some of the major bumps along the road were newbie growing pains for me. There was a term in polyamory, NRE, new relationship energy.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of stage in any given relationship where there's that infatuation, that high energy
Mhm.
sort of excitement about another person, and it can't last indefinitely, but it definitely makes you if you're not checking in, if you're not paying it, if you're not checking yourself, like you can end up overextending or going further than you should have before really introducing partners to the fold. So in this case, this is what I was talking about of, you know, you do, you don't just decide to go have sex with someone. So when I was starting, there was definitely, I know I was going, at least for me, for this relationship, going too far too quickly.
Mhm.
And that is absolutely a thing that you need to like, and those are tough conversations that you need to have and work your way through. And sometimes trust can be harmed, and you have to rebuild it. So that certainly has been, as the newbie, that's certainly been one of the biggest sources of strife. And I've had to take a big sort of step back, slow down, be considered, and let things progress more naturally, and make sure everything is on the up and up. So yeah.
Interesting.
And NRE scientifically and literally changes the chemicals in your brain. So it's
Oh.
that falling in love theory, and the academics that are doing research in this field have found that it actually does.
Mhm.
So it's certainly something that I think we've all gone through at some stage or another in this journey.
Mhm.
Okay. Just before I ask a question, just reminding my listeners on YouTube that they are free to ask questions. So you can type your questions, sending your questions, and I will ask them as we go along. I see a question here. Before I ask my question, uh, what are some of the differences between polyamory and your previous monogamous relationship? I know one of them, of course, is that you can talk to multiple people, but what are some of the differences? The remarkable differences, the differences that stand out. Why you want to stay here?
So I would say the biggest difference by far is, there was a feeling of being trapped before.
Okay.
There was a feeling of just in which I'm sure anyone in committed monogamous relationship, especially a marriage after, what's it called, the 5-year itch, something like that, has
Mm-hmm.
felt
I
of,
read about that.
uh, um but has felt where it's the, because even like, even if the, what am I trying to say, the even if you've committed yourself to this, definitely this one person, it certainly doesn't eradicate desire. It certainly doesn't eradicate But also, like, it doesn't eradicate wanting to just get to know people and be
True.
able to share some level of emotional intimacy that doesn't have to be sexual at
Mm.
all, that um is can very easily be verboten in a monogamous relationship, because that starts to look a little cheaty, and
Yes.
you gotta watch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I am not actively engaging with any of their partners, there is still just a tremendous sort of freedom slash relief of
Mm.
understanding that I don't need to push that interest away. I don't need to hide it. I don't need to ignore it. I don't need to bury it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a thing where it's like,
Oh, okay.
oh, I can. And you certainly, other things temper it. Like, would this person fit reasonably into our life together? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
the how would this go? Is this person looking for a monogamous relationship, and are they trying to just be more interesting and pull me away? Any of those things also very much temper what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that there is that freedom to continue and the possibility of other relationships is, once again, tremendously freeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Go,
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead, Jerry. Go
Oh,
ahead,
I was
Jerry.
gonna say I definitely agree with the sort of main vein of what Joe was saying in terms of authenticity and freedom. I know that for me the biggest difference is, to be honest, my relationships became more fulfilling, they became more successful. In many cases they've lasted longer, and I think that's because it has really forced me to look deeply at myself and the boundaries that I set up in my life, and how I show up for other people, and how I expect other people to show up for me, and how to sit in discomfort, and all of these things have really engendered a much deeper knowledge of myself through coming to terms, we might say, with this orientation and being able to live fully.
Okay. I have some questions here from our YouTube family. Uh I know that with Joe and Jerry, I know both of you you're each other's primaries, right? You're the primary persons in your relationship.
We are, yes.
Yes. So how do you treat with jealousy? Is that a thing? Uh
That you wrestle with sometimes. Yeah.
Jealousy,
or
yes. Jealousy is always a thing. I actually teach a workshop on this. I could talk about it for 2 hours. I have a slide deck, whole thing. um,
okay.
so yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing is differentiating between jealousy and envy, because they are two very distinctly different emotions with different roots and different associated emotions.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get down to that, then you start questioning, what perhaps is the other person getting that you're not. Is it that you're hoping for more time? Is it that there's a special activity that they're out doing that you would like to do? And I think that you really have to look at why you're feeling that, and you get to the root of it. And that's again where it is so helpful to have a community and to call up someone and say, hey, I'm having these feelings, can you help me decipher them? And
Mm.
having that ear to sort of ground you and bring you back to center is enormously helpful for me.
Wow.
So 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 in your communication, there's no is there anyone allowed to catch feelings, or there's a boundary to say that, okay, we well well specific to your relationship, like how do you choose partners? Is there a boundary to say, okay, we don't pass this, or
So we practice what we refer to as structural exclusivity,
okay?
which means, we own a house, we have a lot of financial entanglement, we have our cats, you know so all of the things that would be considered sort of the traditional relationship escalators, so to speak, we've chosen to reserve for each other. Marriage, potentially children, those things are exclusive to our relationship.
Okay.
But
Okay.
within considering like the depth of the feeling that we have for other people, at least for me, those other relationships happen very organically. So they
Okay.
occur, with people that I've known for a long time or that are already part of our social circle or our chosen families. So it's, I would say, an evolution. Um, if it's someone that's introduced through an app or something, then it's a little bit more of a discussion and compromise and clarification.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm.
All
You know what's
right.
interesting about this? I'm kind of pitching myself going to folks I know in my family and saying I'm going to be like this. I want to change around some things here, and
Yes.
I would hear some very interesting responses. I tell you,
Listen, my pastor is listening, so I have to perish the thought.
So
Perish the
we
thought.
my background says you got to beat the flesh.
Yes, you've
You got
got
to
to beat
fight the
it.
fear.
Yes.
You got to resist that lust. You got to not do that. You got to read the
Yes.
Bible and you got to pray and fast and do it more. And it's amazing how we have
Yes.
such difference in experiences. And but I think I said earlier, maybe before you guys came on, that love is the key. Love is the most
Absolutely.
important force in the world. And at the end of the day, you talked about tongues shall change and knowledge shall cease, but love endures. So I'm
Right.
looking at
Yes.
you two, and it's such a great thing that we can meet like this and dialogue, although we may have vast differences. I think you're nuts, Joe. I think you're nuts. But anyway, maybe I'm the crazy one. But
Why, thank you.
I have a question,
but
DJ
it's fascinating. It's very
KTE.
fascinating.
There are two interesting questions I see here on YouTube. But let me ask this one first, and any of you or both of you can answer. So it says, what role does religion play, if any, or spirituality? Sounds like this requires authenticity, self-awareness, and strong sense of integrity. Doesn't that make it more challenging than monogamy?
So I am an atheist humanist. So I do not have any particular guidebook telling me no. Instead, this is about treating people well,
Okay.
being good and honest
Mhm.
to my fellow human beings. So that I've like there is no conflict there. That would be me.
And
All right.
I'm a high priestess apprentice adept to be ordained next month. So I'm pretty thoroughly trained in theology, but I've had the opportunity to really study this and look at the way that different indigenous cultures and even our American culture has practiced it. So yeah, I
Jerry, could you please repeat what you were trained in? I'm sorry.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah. So I'm a high priestess, apprentice adept. Technically my spirituality would be considered pagan.
Okay.
But
Okay.
because I will be ordained, I've also done a pretty thorough study of theology.
Expand on that a little more on theology. Give it a little more meat on that the word theology there.
Oh, so because I will be ordained through the state of New York, actually as a reverend.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
My
are you
temple.
saying? So are you saying that you're familiar with the Bible in that sense of the word and how that works, or just it's just the word that you ascribing to?
So basically the way that my temple trains the priestesses and the priest is to be adept enough to be able to talk about all of the different religions with folks and to really be able to communicate, because I think at the heart, we all believe many of the same things, even though the mechanisms for delivery or the deities that we choose to worship may be different. But I think that ties back into what you were saying about love. And I think ultimately, even with Joe, who's an atheist, there's sort of a fundamental beauty in humanity that we're all attempting to achieve.
Okay. There's another question here, and since we're talking about all of this, there's a question that says, do you practice man being leader and woman submitting, or that's not a part of polyamory?
Definitely not. I mean, even
Wow, that was a strong one.
certainly because no, we lean on each other for the strengths that each other has. So when it comes to technological stuff, this is particularly computer work, IT stuff, I'm taking point because that's literally my training. But otherwise, certainly organizing people, dance, and
Yes.
many other skills, and there's lots of other it's whoever is the stronger, and sometimes it's the same amount, and we talk about it, we discuss it, but we try to be appropriately what's the word, respectful of each other's skills, talents, expertise, and help shore up each other's weaknesses and lean on each other's strengths.
All right, Jerry. Jerry, this is a question. This is a little bit off topic, but the listeners want to know what exactly paganism is.
So paganism is sort of I would say, an ancient spiritual, again, umbrella. I tend to look at umbrellas and buckets and things like that. There's a whole bunch of us, and we practice a whole bunch of different ways. In general, it concerns the manipulation of energy through magic, the occult, attuning with the seasons or the wheel of the year. And then, depending on people's ancestry, sort of determines their path. So you have Wiccans, you might have folks who are trained in voodoo, you might have Norse paganism or Celtic paganism, which is sort of the strain that I align with my ancestry. So it's a very, very wide and beautiful array of people and spiritual practices.
Okay. All right. How does family see this relationship?
Are they supportive of you guys, or do you find a lot of you have to kind of get away into your own space, or are they embracive of it?
Sorry. I'm pretty sure my family is just waiting for me to get out of this phase.
Okay.
So they see it as a phase.
I mean, so I mean, they definitely have not said as much, but I mean, they've not fought against it or anything like that. They've been accepting of it, but the way in which they have responded has kind of is the like, oh, he's trying a new thing, it'll be fine.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, my mom is my best friend. We literally talk every day. So she is amazing, and I have to give her a lot of credit because she has adapted to new concepts and new ideas and really been able to step out of her comfort zone and learn all kinds of terminology. And she has been incredibly supportive. I'm not entirely sure my dad understands. So we're kind of doing our own thing, and it's all good. But yeah. But I feel very loved and supported by Joe's family. They are very much my family at this point. So,
and vice versa is true as well.
Wow. Now in my family, or in my upbringing, we're taught that we are to teach our young ones, to learn the scriptures and to know things about the Bible and God, and that He's a creator and all that good stuff. So we train our kids, I think, the way believe they are to grow, right? So you, I would assume you're looking to have kids at some point. So do you believe that, or do you want to train those kids, your kids, in this lifestyle, or you let them grow to be who they are, and if they choose that lifestyle or not? How do you plan on, or have you talked about it?
We have. We believe that if we do choose to have children, that we want them to be as open and authentic as we've been able to be with each other. So we want to give them as much information as we possibly can about the societal expectations. And we will, no matter what orientation or lifestyle they choose, we just want to make sure that they understand the safest ways to go about it, both emotionally,
Okay.
psychologically, and sexually.
Okay.
But we absolutely feel as though they will be their own independent people with orientations and thoughts and feelings and influences beyond ours. And we hope that that we will provide a fertile ground for them to be able to communicate openly with us about those things, so that we can guide them to be able to do those things ethically and responsibly.
Wow.
Understood.
The
There's another question. Oh, go ahead,
I
Joe.
just want to
Before
toss
I
in
ask.
one quick bromide, and that is
Yeah, man, go ahead.
we would want to help teach them how to think, not tell them what to think.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Lady Miss, if you don't mind me asking real quick.
Go ahead.
Have you had a lot of pushbacks from certain communities since you started this particular lifestyle? Or groups, in other words.
So I'm sorry, say it again.
Have you had a lot of pushbacks from certain groups, be it religious or be it other social groups, who don't advocate for such lifestyles?
I mean, in my case, I mean, software engineering and the other circles that I move in, like honestly, when I was like acting fairly regularly, this was a lifestyle that was practiced by a number of people. So, or this was an orientation. My apologies, not lifestyle.
Could be either.
Yeah, but yes, could be either.
So okay. So when you say orientation, are you talking about you're born that way? Is that what you're saying, or you're saying that you?
Yeah. I mean, Jerry knows this better than I do. I'm going to defer to her.
Jerry spends a lot of time talking about this stuff. So basically, when I refer to it as being an orientation, it's rather like a spectrum, the same way that gender or sexuality is. There are
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are folks that, are truly in their hearts monogamous, and that works really well for them, and that is deeply fulfilling, and that is their best way of being. And there are people on the other end, like myself, I just love deeply, I love intensely. And when I look back at monogamy, I just felt like I was playing a game and I never understood the rules. And there are I would say many, many more people that are kind of in the middle, and they're exploring, or they're curious, or they're even what we call polyamorous, meaning they would be equally satisfied with either. And there are some people that also refer to it as a lifestyle, so both are correct.
Okay.
All right. So for a relationship, okay, so let me use both of you. So this question says, how many people will be the ideal or the limit for your relationship?
I don't really think there is a number to that.
Okay.
People, you meet new people come and go, relationships wax and wane, and like there's no goal number. There's no high water mark. There's no low water mark. I mean, certainly there's an effective limit. 100 is not a thing you can do. Well, and actually, it depends. It also though can depend on the style that you are engaging with, because some people could say they have various comets. This is another polyamorous term. Comet is an individual you have a relationship with that only comes around every once in a while. They live on the other coast.
That's interesting.
So when they do come visit, you definitely spend time with them as best you can, and then they go back home, and you have a wonderful time, and it doesn't mean you don't love each other. Just you have different lives, and this is how you engage with one another. So
Okay.
you can get into high numbers that way, but I mean, once again, there is no ideal number. Yeah.
I think I was at 40 at one point.
Oh wow, 40.
Wow.
So
40.
It was intense.
Wow.
Solomon, what? Look out, Solomon! Look out, Solomon!
We are no longer there. Yeah, we are no longer there. But no, I think it also depends. I agree with everything Joe said, and I think it also depends on the needs of the people existing in your life, you know, and sort of where everybody is. And I think he made a really good point about that waxing and waning. And sometimes some people need more support, and you know, sometimes they're very involved in their own lives. So you know, it really depends. You know, I'm in grad school full time at this point. I run organizations, I run side hustles, I have all kinds of stuff going on. So my time is already incredibly constrained just by my own life. You know, and that certainly affects the number of people that I can take on, but it depends on how much those people need or want, and if they're married themselves or if they have children, or you know, they may have as much to give, and we can sort of go forward that way. So there's a lot of variables.
Wow.
Okay.
And have you both met anyone in that community who actually left the community because they felt it wasn't for them at some point?
I wouldn't necessarily say they've left the community, because certainly the platonic friendships, if you will, maintain. You know, and there are a lot of people who make a lot of life choices for a lot of reasons. I think that the polyamorous people really point to that. You know, I've certainly had partners and friends who have decided to, you know, sort of explore monogamy to see if that might be more successful in bringing them a life partner with marriage and children, and you know, to help them sort of reach their relationship goals. But you know, people move in and out, and they kind of do what's right for them in the time.
Yeah, there is no membership card that gets torn up if you disobey the rules, or one that gets printed out and issued to you if you do the right thing. So
Okay.
Wow.
All right. There is a question here that I want to ask, and it says, how does one cultivate a strong, healthy, and worthwhile relationship with 40 people, though? Curious.
Come on, talk to us now. We want to know. How is that possible?
At that point in my life,
and Jerry, I just want to interject this because somebody's saying jealousy would be the simple death of me.
Oh yeah, no, and there are a ton of workbooks and podcasts and resources within our community that specifically deal with that. So, you know, we're always doing work on ourselves. But when I was around that particular watermark, I was sort of just dating. That was what I was doing, you know.
You were just exploring.
Yeah, I was definitely at a point in my life where I was a lot more interested in just, exactly, exploring and seeing where things went with people. I would say now, just because of the busyness, and you know, I do want to kind of be nested in the criteria for what I can offer and what I expect people to offer me is definitely quite different. But yeah, I mean, it's about communication, and it's just about what, you know, what feels good, what feels right, and what makes sense to everybody, as long as it's upfront.
So Jerry and Joe, I know Jerry has more experience in this than Joe. Are all these relationships that you both encounter in sexual in nature, or somebody just wants to be emotionally there for a time? Does it have a time? How long does a relationship last, or it depends on the person?
Yeah, that all depends. Depends on the person, the circumstance, the time, the season, the phase of the moon. No, but
for me, it might depend on the phase of the moon.
But no, seriously, I know. I tend to value things getting sexual in
Yeah.
nature, so that tends to be that tends to be where I will go with things. But
Okay, so Joe, you're saying so that's an ingredient for you?
yeah, that is something, that is certainly something that I favor. Like I'm not sure what to call it.
Okay,
I
I
would say that
understand.
that is a
In,
chief way that you connect with people.
Yes.
so in other words, it's a prerequisite for you, Joe. It's a prerequisite for you.
Uh, yeah, I think Jerry said it the best. It is sort of the a primary way that I connect with people.
Okay.
So like it's,
Okay.
I mean, I have friends that I don't have sex with. I've got lots of friends that I don't have sex with.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
those are
understand. We understand. Okay. So and okay, so depending on how you connect with these people, it depends. Well,
yeah, I mean,
it would
unfortunately,
dictate it would dictate the duration, right? How long or how short the relationship is, right?
yeah, I mean, unfortunately,
Okay.
like I hate to just say it depends for everything and give no hard answers, but there kind of
Okay.
aren't. Because yeah, like you can certainly have a relationship that goes very well, very well, and then that person, and then you or the other person got a much better job elsewhere, and now
Oh, I
now you
see.
can't engage in the same way, or any number of other things that can come up that are part of life that just, all right, well. And this is actually, I wanted to bring this up, I wanted to say this before, when the question was like, how do you cultivate that
A
many
strong,
relationships,
healthy.
but with the
Yeah.
big one being worthwhile. I
Mm-hmm.
heard worthwhile in there, and then
Yes,
that is
yes.
one where you can have a worthwhile relationship that only lasts a week, or
Such a good point.
like it just because even if it's not forever,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean that it wasn't worthwhile.
Mm.
So I want
Mm-hmm.
to make that very clear.
That's interesting. Interesting point. Interesting point, because I believe in the going all the way, going the extra mile to the end of the
Mm.
road. We just lasted for 50 years, and we went through all the bumps and the bruises and the curves and turns, mountains, and we had good moments and bad moments, and we were broke, we got rich, so it's amazing how that is that's so different. The concept, the interest, the mind, the desires. And again, it shows how we're so multi-dimensional. We have all these different elements to us as human beings. Uh, Quite fascinating, Jerry and Joe. Quite fascinating. I was just imagining a world where um where we have folks are able to, I guess, love and have and experience God. You know, in my mind, I know some folks don't believe in God the way I do, but just have that word of where we can just love each other the right way, the correct way, where we can feel that support, feel that humanity, feel that strength, and the way God would have us to do it. That's just my take on it. But I'm really intrigued by both of you. Quite fascinating. And I'm pretty sure
I'm
our
just
audience
reading.
is feeling the
I'm
same
sorry.
way.
Yeah, I'm just reading some of these comments and I'm dying over here. Travel escapades is saying that it's an interesting conversation, and he's saying he's jealous and he's not even in a relationship.
Oh no! Oh
Well,
boy, we
that's
got
the
some.
reason, it's know thyself, right?
Oh
It's
Lord.
certainly not for everybody, and you connect where you
Yeah.
connect. And I know the way that I see Joe and our future marriage is very much sort of the way that I would say monogamous people view marriage. We are intertwined on every level, and we're in this for the long haul, hence the house. And I have very,
Yes.
very long-term partners where I've met their children, I've met their family, I've spent time, so I definitely.
So Jerry, I hear you talking about that. So there are partners outside of Joe that you keep long term.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had some long
Okay.
distance partners that I came into this relationship with.
Oh,
But
Okay.
I've also, I've been at it quite a few more years. So I think I would say that I've had a longer time to cultivate a chosen family and to make those connections, to sort of be out in the wild. So it's a very different situation for me.
So it's almost like having your cake and eating it too.
Uh, it can be, but it's also, you know, a lot of hard work, and not just hard
Mm,
work between people, but also I think hard work on yourself. You know, making
Oh,
sure that you're being really clear and consistent, that you're showing up the way that you want to show up, that you're dealing with your trauma, that you're dealing with your emotions in appropriate and healthy ways.
but tell us though,
okay.
on a real tip, is it really much more difficult than a monogamous relationship? Because it sounds so multi-dimensional. There's so much going on. Is it more challenging in this
Mhm.
and to have this lifestyle opposed to being being a monogamous?
I would just call it different. Like the
Yeah. Okay.
because I mean, I guess because the challenges the challenges are uh, like it's not a difference of magnitude, it's a difference in kind.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So like that so it sort of depends on what challenges you're sort of best equipped to handle, and then certainly what challenges you learn to handle better. Because like yeah, they're
Mm.
getting in my own head.
That's all right.
Joe,
But for
I
you to,
will
I have a comment for you, Joe.
I
Listen,
will
the
I will
YouTube. I'm sorry, Jerry.
Oh no,
The
I was just gonna
YouTube.
say I will live and die by the statement that everyone should learn how to communicate the way polyamorous people have to. I truly believe that the monogamous divorce rate, or the divorce rate overall, would go down.
Wow.
Listen, I am just here, just laugh. If you see me laughing, I'm not laughing at you guys, okay? I'm
Oh, you can
laughing.
do
I'm
that too. That's
laughing
fine.
with the YouTube family. Joe, I have a I have a comment for you.
Mhm.
So Travel Escapades is just over here, and he's saying, um, are we just going to slide past that? And I'm guessing that refers to Jerry talking about she coming in a relationship with some people, and she said come into relationship with, and the and Travel Escapade says, Joe, teach us thy strength, because he doesn't have the strength.
I'm
Listen,
wait,
they
I'm sorry.
are just
What
over
was that?
here. No, the person is saying teach them the strength you have
Oh.
to know that you have a partner with, but we are not in the lifestyle, so it's very fascinating to us.
If I may, there are I do kind of want to mention a couple things with regard to uh, not not being a part of and sort of engaging in a purity culture.
Hmm.
It really reduces like not engaging with that. It really reduces the sort of the jealousy, the the sort of demand for exclusivity. uh
Okay.
so
Okay.
it like I don't know, it doesn't really bother me. I've met
Mm.
her partners, they're great guys.
Wow. We
Yeah.
actually coming down. We actually coming down to the wire.
We are down to the wire, yes. But guys, listen, I want to thank you so much for being so open with us,
Great sport. Great
and
sport.
just taking us into your world. You see what it's like there, and we of course we're interested to know new things, and we may not always agree on everything, but we are certainly respectful of how your relationship is and it's working for you.
Mhm.
and
Thank you
my
so
my
much for having us on to
and
have the
my
conversation and share.
Yes. Thank
yes,
you for
and my
sharing. You guys
YouTube
are great.
family is just, they're just over here just behaving like a mess.
Mhm.
And they're saying kudos to you, Joe, because they don't think they can do it,
Mhm.
but
Why, thank you.
yes. But guys, oh my lord, it was indeed an interesting night tonight, and an interesting conversation we've had. We want to say thank you so much to all our listeners, to our partners, our supporters. Thank you, YouTube family. Thank you for those over there on the podcast and on Yumi Radio who are listening to us. if you have left a comment, drop hashtag LTRSave if you need if you need advice. If you need advice or you need support or any answers to any questions that you may have, please don't forget to email us at ltranswers@gmail.com. Yes, likewise, it is our hope that this program will be a support to you,
And
to help
guys,
you have a strong and a healthy and a amazing relationship.
yes.
You guys are wonderful, and we want to keep it that way.
And guys, don't forget to get the app. Go to your Google Store, your Play Store. It's one word. It's UMERADIO. Lady Misty, this was real.
It was.
Yes.
It was
This was
real.
real.
It was real. It
Really
was a real interesting night.
Yes. Really thank those guests for being here. They were really
yes, we want to say thank you to them.
Support. Yes.
And thank you so much to my YouTube family over here keeping me laughing, and they are just liveling up. And thank you for sending in your comments and your questions. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's show. We are indeed blessed to have you keeping our company every week. Please join us again next week. We'll be right here on Let's Talk Relationships.
Yes, indeed. Bye, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Talk Relationships on UMERADIO.
So what are we talking about?
Marriage, dating, parenting, business,
and love, emotions, sex.
It's a conversation with me, Lady Misty,
and DJ KTE
on everything from hot topics to taboos.
Join us Mondays at 9 p.m. live on UMERADIO.
Follow us at Let's Talk Relationship Show on Facebook or on UMERADIO on Instagram. Let's talk relationships, arguments for the grown.
Get the UMERADIO app to listen wherever you are. That is UMERADIO, one word.